He raised his glass and turned my name into a punchline. The rooftop was warm with string lights and office laughter, and my brother stood near the bar like it was his stage. Caleb had always loved a crowd. He loved the way noise could drown out doubt, and the way smiles could excuse small cruelties. I watched his grin sharpen as he told a story about me missing a meeting that I had actually led. "Classic Maren," he said, tapping the mic some junior analyst handed him, as if fate herself delivered props. "She'll find the numbers eventually, after she finds the door." Everyone laughed because it was easier. Laughter makes a neat rug for embarrassment. I felt my cheeks heat, not from the wine I refused to drink, but from the old, familiar sting of being little sister again, reduced to a habit. "My name is Maren Caldwell. I was hired 2 years after Caleb at Norcross Media, a mid-sized company that believed numbers could predict taste. He worked sales, fast talking and quick promises. I worked product analytics, slow questions and careful patterns. We were careful at Thanksgiving and careless at work. Tonight, our worlds collided under a rented skyline. I had planned to leave early. The quarterly promotions would be announced next week, and I wanted quiet before the storm. I carried that quiet inside me like a folded letter. Most of the office did not know what I knew. The CEO had asked me to stop by his glass office that morning. He had spoken in a low voice about trust, about the platform relaunch, about someone steady who could listen to data without worshipping it. His eyes were kind when he slid the envelope across the desk. "Sleep on it," he said. "You earned this." The envelope sat in my purse while Caleb held the room like a rented crown. He shifted the story again, sliding from teasing to something thinner, something that cut. He mentioned the summer I froze on stage during our town's talent show, when I was 10 and he was 12, and he told me to smile through the tears. He remembered the tears, not the piano. He remembered the tremble, not the song. I caught the eye of a new hire, a woman with soft curls and compassionate eyebrows. She looked away quickly, guilty for me, guilty for liking him before she saw me. I forgave her in a breath. People are allowed to learn. "Still," Caleb said, spreading his hands as if granting absolution, "she's my favorite data detective. She finds clues after the body's buried." It was a joke with a cruel center. I smiled anyway. Smiles can be armor, if you wear them sparingly. I touched the envelope through the purse fabric, and it felt steady, like a lighthouse in a room of fireworks. I thought of the years I built models no one noticed until they saved a quarter. I thought of the late nights, the small dawns, the quiet coffee when the building hummed and no one needed me to entertain them. I thought of being a woman who cared more about accuracy than applause. Someone clinked a glass and shouted for a toast. Caleb waited for silence he did not deserve, then lifted his flute. He winked at me, a brother asking for complicity in the smallest crime. "To family," he said. "Where we learn humility, and how to laugh." I raised my water. I took the laugh they demanded and kept my dignity for myself. The envelope's edge pressed against my palm like a compass needle, pointing toward a decision I had already made. I would not argue in a room built for noise. I would choose a different room, and bring the letter with me. On Monday, the jokes traveled the office like coffee, warm and careless. People repeated Caleb's line in the kitchen, softening it with chuckles and disclaimers. "You know he's joking," they said, as if intention erased impact. A designer imitated my supposed confusion with a dramatic glance around the door. He laughed at himself and asked if I was okay. I said I was. I said it twice, because the first time sounded too honest. My desk sat by a window that faced a brick wall. I liked that wall. It kept me focused, it gave me something steady when the building shifted around other people's feelings. I opened dashboards and checked models, tracing signals through noise, letting truths rise without permission. Meanwhile, the office practiced its theater of belonging. Lunch invitations formed and dissolved like weather. I received none. Silence can be a delicate cruelty. It looks like nothing, which makes it hard to name. Caleb came by around noon. He leaned on my cubicle wall and pretended the morning was kind. All in fun, Mare, he said. You know how I am. Yes, I said. I kept my voice even, teaspoon calm. I do. He tapped the partition twice, as if knocking on a door he never planned to enter. You good for the client mixer tonight? I told them we're a package. We are colleagues, I said. We share a company, not a costume. He laughed and left the way he arrived, confident I would carry the weight of smoothing the next room. The office breathed around him, forgiving in advance. I ate a late sandwich alone at my desk, legs tucked under my chair, jaw tired from pretending. My mother texted between bites, a string of cheerful messages with a sharp core. Your brother means well, she wrote. He's always teased. Stand up for yourself, but don't make a scene. Family first. Family first, unless you are the bruise. I typed, deleted, typed again, then sent only a photo of my window, the brick wall steady as a vow. My phone buzzed once more. Proud of you, she added, as if praise could spackle over patterns. After lunch, I reviewed the churn model that had kept me company for months. It was finally clean, finally serious, a chorus of signals singing the same soft note. The new product direction I proposed would reduce cancellations by 8% within a quarter. Numbers are not magic, but they are honest when you treat them with patience. Asha, our product director, stopped by my desk near 3. She wore a navy blazer and a tired smile, like every woman who has stayed late to fix what others broke. How are you? She asked. I will be fine, I said. I am working. She glanced toward the lounge where my brother's laugh carried like a bright ribbon. I heard, she said. I did not enjoy it. Nor did I said. My voice stayed gentle because I was saving my fire for purpose. Town hall is Wednesday, she said. I'm carving out a moment to share the roadmap adjustments. If you want the mic, you'll have it. I met her eyes. She was offering me a doorway, not a stage. Thank you, I said. I might. At home that night, I washed dishes and listened to rain tap the window. I pressed the envelope on my counter, still sealed, still weighty. The CEO's signature waited inside like a promise. I thought of timing and of choosing the room where truth sounded like music, not noise. I set a single plate on the drying rack, water sliding toward the drain. I breathed in the clean scent of lemon soap. Quiet is not the absence of power. Quiet is where power gathers. I decided to keep gathering until Wednesday. On Tuesday at dawn, I opened the envelope. The paper was thick and precise, with our logo embossed in a modest corner. The letter named me Director of Product Analytics, effective the following week. It described scope, compensation, and a mandate to center evidence without silencing intuition. It asked me to lead with steadiness, to teach the company how to listen better. I traced the ink with my finger and felt something settle inside me, like a boat finding the right side of the tide. I made coffee and sat at my kitchen table with the letter, my notebook, and a pen. I wrote down what mattered. Lead the team. Protect the work. Speak briefly. Honor the people who helped. Set the boundary with my brother, not as punishment, but as care for myself. I underlined the last phrase twice, so I would not confuse kindness with permission. At 10, I walked to Asha's office. She closed the door softly, the sort of courtesy that becomes habit when you have kept too many confidences. I laid the letter between us. Her smile bloomed from tired to proud. I'm not surprised, she said. But I am glad. Thank you, I said. I want to accept. I also want to speak at the town hall. Not about the title, but about direction. The title can be a footnote. It will be noticed anyway, she said. Use it wisely. I plan to, I said. She scanned the letter and nodded toward a framed photo on her shelf, a young woman standing under a jacaranda tree, purple blossoms falling like confetti. My mother taught me to keep proof close, she said. Not to wave, but to hold. I have learned the same, I said. We worked through the roadmap slides for an hour, sharpening language and trimming excess. Asha favored verbs that carried weight without swagger. We will test, she said, and I wrote. We will remove friction, she said, and I wrote. We made a single slide with a promise to our users, slower releases, clearer choices, fewer surprises. It felt like a small oath. Before I left, Osho looked at me with that measuring kindness that makes you stand taller. Maren, there is a way to correct a wound without spilling the room. Choose it. I will, I said. At lunch, I met my neighbor, Theo, under a maple near the food trucks. He was a photographer who freelanced odd jobs for our events team. He had soft hands and a habit of listening without filling the silence. We shared a bench and a carton of dumplings. He had heard the rooftop story secondhand. I'm sorry that happened, he said. It was lazy. Lazy is a good word, I said. I don't mind jokes. I mind cruelty dressed as charm. What do you need? He asked. Nothing elaborate, I said. At the town hall tomorrow, there will be a Q&A. When I finish the roadmap, I will take one question. I want a clean recording of that moment, without commentary. He nodded, already adjusting settings in his mind. You want the sound of a boundary? Yes, I said. Not to post, not to punish. To remember myself clearly. I can do that, he said. That evening, I ironed a navy dress and chose small earrings my grandmother had given me, simple silver leaves that lay flat against the skin. I printed the letter and tucked it into a binder with the slides, not as theater, but as anchor. I slept early, with the kind of sleep that comes when a decision no longer needs rehearsal. In the morning, the city smelled like wet sidewalks and new possibility. I walked to work without headphones, letting traffic fill the spaces where doubt used to hum. I did not plan to surprise my brother. I planned to be undeniable. The auditorium filled with ordinary voices and ordinary worries. Our CEO opened with updates, then handed the session to Asha. She spoke clearly about patience and value, the way a gardener talks about soil. She introduced me as the person who would steer the analytics work. She did not use my new title. She did not need to. I stepped to the podium and set my binder on the surface with care. My hands were steady. I thanked the teams who had tested broken features, the engineers who stayed late to untangle old code, the support reps whose notes read like documentary interviews. I explained the roadmap in 3 short promises. Test early. Ship cleaner. Listen harder. The room quieted with that particular quiet that means people are actually hearing you. I ended with the smallish sentence. I'll take one question. Theo's lens glinted near the aisle, but he lowered the camera as if not to trespass. Hands rose. I scanned briefly, then pointed toward the back where Caleb stood with 2 account executives, arms crossed like a reflex. He lowered his hand. He smiled an old smile. Do you think you can handle the heat? He asked. Roadmaps look clean on a slide. I let his words settle. I did not rescue them. I did not laugh. Yes, I said. That is my job. I opened the binder and slid the letter forward, not as spectacle, but as footnote to a fact already in motion. For transparency, I said, I have accepted the role of Director of Product Analytics, effective next week. My responsibility is to hold this course, to keep our decisions disciplined, and to support our teams with clarity. There was a beat of stillness that tasted like rain. People exhaled. A few clapped, then stopped, then clapped again because they realized permission was not required. Asha's eyes crinkled. The CEO's shoulders dropped, as if a weight had moved to the right shelf. I looked at my brother. I did not wait for his approval. I did not offer mine. He opened his mouth, then closed it, the first quiet I had ever seen him choose. He nodded once, a small movement that might have been respect, or might have been surprise learning manners. I'll follow up with written notes this afternoon, I said. Thank you for listening. I stepped back, and the room did something rare. It did not explode. It did not boil. It held steady the way a lake holds a new moon, reflective and exact. Justice does not always roar. Sometimes it clicks into place like a latch on a well-made door. After the session, people approached with questions about segments and sampling. They asked about tagging and delay. They asked about the small things that make big things possible. I answered. I kept my attention on the work. Caleb hovered at the edge of the crowd, then drifted away. A few colleagues glanced between us, testing the winds. They discovered the air was fine. Back at my desk, I placed the letter in a folder and closed the drawer. I opened the churn dashboard and watched the curve that had worried me flatten into something calm. Theo sent me the audio file without caption. It was clean. You could hear a breath after I said yes. You could hear the room decide to meet me where I already stood. Justice had arrived, not with applause, but with alignment. I allowed the stillness to hold. The morning after the town hall, the office felt different without changing its shape. People greeted me with the small respect that makes days breathable. The jokes stayed in their pockets. The kitchen was a kitchen, not a stage. A junior analyst stopped by with a question and a shy smile. I liked your 3 promises, she said. They make me less afraid. That is part of the point, I said. Do the work, not the theater. Caleb emailed me around noon. Lunch, he wrote. It felt like a word spilled on the way to something else. I said yes, because yes gave me the chance to practice the boundary I promised myself. We met at a quiet place with good soup and solid chairs. He fidgeted with the paper napkin until it tore. I messed up, he said. The words were short and without decoration. I thought I was being funny. You were being unkind, I said, evenly. I am not applause. He nodded, eyes on the table. I don't want to be the guy who only knows how to perform. You do not have to be, I said. But that part is yours to fix. I will not coach you through respecting me. He looked up, surprised by how gentle my voice could be beside a hard line. Can we reset? He asked. At work, I mean. We can proceed, I said. I will hold you to the standard I hold our work. If you undermine me, I will name it once and remove myself. I am not angry. I am done being small. He breathed out, some laugh mixed with relief. Copy that. We ate our soup in a quiet that did not hurt. It was the quiet of a new room, sparse and promising. The bill arrived. He reached for it, and I let him, not as tribute, but as a simple act between siblings who were trying. Back at my desk, I rearranged the plants on my windowsill. The pothose reached toward the light like a patient teacher. The succulent sat squat and satisfied, a geometry of survival. Morning slipped toward afternoon, steady as tide. I wrote the follow-up memo, the 3 promises stitched into paragraphs the teams could use. I attached the slides, hit send, and watched replies bloom with questions that mattered. When I finally walked home, the air carried that late-day salt you only smell when the city has learned to breathe. I stopped at a small market and bought lemons, rosemary, and a little loaf of bread. My apartment held the clean lines of a life I had chosen. I hung my navy dress by the closet door, let my hair fall loose, and set water to boil. I took the printed letter from my bag and slid it into a file with other quiet milestones. A music recital program where my hands did not shake. A lease signed by only my name. A postcard from Asha when her jacaranda bloomed. I closed the drawer and rested my palms on the wood, steady and warm. Later, I sent my mother a message. "Work is good," I wrote. "We are learning." She replied with a heart, then a question mark, then a longer note about a potluck next month. I decided to go, not to fix anyone, but to bring a salad I liked and leave when I chose. Before bed, I listened to the town hall audio once, eyes closed. I heard my own voice answer a careless question with a simple yes. I heard the pause where a room decided to respect it. It sounded like rain finding the gutter, like floors settling after a storm. I watered the plants and cracked the window for a strip of night air. The city murmured without demanding anything from me. Quiet gathered in the corners the way dawn gathers on patient mornings. I lay down, grateful for work that matters and boundaries that hold. If this story touched you, share your thoughts below. And subscribe for more stories of quiet revenge.